Right.
Coach, anything you want to say to start off?
Yeah, how's everybody doing? Doing all right? All right. Appreciate everybody being here today. Certainly, signing day, and this being a new type of signing day is always exciting for any program, but certainly a really, real productive day for us. Being able to act 13 real and what we feel are impactful players, student athletes for our program. 6 of them on offense, 7 on defense. I'll probably wait for questions to go into specifics on each one, but it was important, during this time to make sure that our staff, and I want to thank the staff first and foremost, because during the time of the last week and a half leading into the signing day, it was a contact period, and we were over in Las Vegas preparing for the bowl game itself. So we lost a week of contact along the way, but yet the relationships that were built and that were maintained and strengthened throughout the process allowed us to sign a really good class, and we feel it's just kind of the halfway point for us. There is more to come in the near future, but we certainly increased our size and power up front, both on the offense and defensive side of the ball, increased our ability to make explosive plays in the backfield with 2 really good running backs that we feel are game changers. Signed the number 5 quarterback in the country. Looks a lot like the guy that plays for us here right now, so the similarities are striking, so we're really excited about him as well. And our front 7, our 2 defensive line additions and our 2 linebackers are not only guys that are big, long, athletic, rangy guys. These are guys that we call it big speed guys, the big skill guys. A couple linebackers that are track athletes as well that run sub 1100-meter dashes, and couple that with a couple of guys in the secondary that provide length, athleticism, range, and great tacklers, great playmakers. So really excited, really happy about the results. And again, I want to reiterate the fact that this is it's kind of the halfway point, even though there's a couple days left in this little signing period and things can still happen. We're optimistic that they will. It's a halfway point and lots of work to do, but a pretty good start.
Questions? Right up here in the front, AJ, on the right.
Coach, what areas of need do you think you addressed really well today, and what's left for the rest of the class of 2018?
Well, I think the offensive line was addressed well. 3 signees today, all of them within the 6'5.5", 6'6" to 6'7.5" range, all within 295 to 335 pounds. Very powerful, athletic guys. You look at some of the signees and going through them, guys like, local right here, Dawson Jaramillo, is going to be playing in the Under Armour game, and I believe the Polynesian Bowl as well. Just the ultimate athlete for an offensive lineman, could play all 5 positions, has been stellar at tackle, really smart, athletic, aggressive. Stephen Jones in California, one of the top players in the country as well, has played tackle. Really, and the kind of neat thing about these guys, they are large men, but they're mostly just guys that turned 17 just recently. I mean, their growth spurts are still ahead of them. So Stephen Jones, again, a big, powerful guy, athletic, strong, game changer at the line of scrimmage. Chris Rendazzo, I mean, I could go on and on about these guys. They're game changers. They make it different up front, and certainly we want to win in the trenches. But that was addressed. The quarterback position, which is always critical. We found the guy that, in our opinion, is a game changer, franchise type quarterback. The running back position was addressed as well, the departure of Royce and Kanai. At defensive line, being able to sign, the big guy, Sione, that's a big bonus for us, because the way we play defense, length and power is important at the 5 technique, the 4-eye. And we get that from him, a guy that certainly he was a defensive player of the year in that league. So that, and the addition of the 2 linebackers, with 2 linebackers, I'm sorry, I keep forgetting MJ plays so many positions. He was one of the best athletes in the country at any position. But and you look at Adrian being the number 1 player in the state of Colorado, a guy that ran 10,900 meters. It changes your defense. Coach Levitt, I know, was extremely excited about that. He did a wonderful job recruiting that young man. And Javon and Steven, guys that have been with us since the beginning. I mean, these guys, they're like Oregon employees. The way they worked the recruiting trail since the moment they were committed. Tremendous personalities. I think you'll enjoy these guys a bunch. They'll be front and center. They'll be looking for you guys instead of you having to request interviews with them. And just you forget, because they've been with us so long, you forget how good they are as football players and just as good as people. And yesterday, or today, I should say, the addition of Hockey Woods, who's a junior college All-American. Hard to find a 6'3" corner anywhere in college football, the NFL even, and he's there as well. And I don't want to miss making a comment on anybody because, I mean, Travis Dye, and we know what those bloodlines are like, right? We've seen it, front and center here in Autzen Stadium, and his yardage this year, his yards per carry is just blows you away. And not to mention Jamal Elliott, who was a lifelong Duck fan, be able to go in the Carolinas and get him out this way, certainly a great accomplishment. But the credit goes to the coaches. I mean, those guys really established great relationships and maintained them, through some change and some adversity. And that's what recruiting is all about,
Speaking with the offensive line, traditionally we've seen guys sign here that are 250, 260. These guys are well above that. Is that something that you prioritized or made an effort to get guys way bigger than traditionally they've signed here?
Well, if they're a good player, they're a good player. I don't put a weight limit on a guy. Obviously, the roots and where I come from and the emphasis that's placed at the line of scrimmage. And those offensive lines have traditionally been ones that have certain metrics. They have certain body types to be able to take over football games in the fourth quarter later on in the season. And yeah, it's for me, traditionally, it has been, massive human beings that can move. You don't want to compromise any athleticism for size. So I think we've got a really nice combination there. Hungry guys, athletic, because if they're really big, you want to make sure that they're hungry and they're athletic. If they're really big, they don't want to move much. Well, the laws of inertia take over, and it's a hard deal. So these guys are certainly tremendous additions to our football team.
On the right.
Mario, is it safe to say that you won a huge recruit in keeping Jim Levitt? And can you just speak to how the guys you've been able to re-sign, your coaching staff, have helped you get, through this quick turnaround of recruiting?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jim's definitely one of those 5-star guys that you want on your staff and on your roster. Him and Marcus and Joe. I mean, it's kind of have a neat thing around here where we work with each other. We don't see each other any differently than just colleagues and brothers. And being able to work with them for this past year, seeing the progress that has been made defensively as a team, the defensive line, the quarterback, and the other guys as well. We're real optimistic that this staff is going to be intact for the most part. That it's a great feeling, and I think it's great for the players. Continuity. These guys are going home. They want to come back and jump into the offseason with the faces and the structure that they know. So pretty exciting time for us, and yes, it's a huge thing for us.
Second row middle, Jerry.
Yeah, Coach, how many players do you anticipate on this list coming in early, playing in the spring, and specifically with Elliott playing just 3 games and Cunningham not playing his senior year? How are they doing as far as recuperation from
they've
injuries?
done really well. As you mentioned, they had injuries that kind of compromised their production as seniors. As juniors, they were stellar athletes, and even before that, proved to have really good durability. Didn't have many issues. So we think that we'll have anywhere between 5, maybe 6 mid-year enrollees, hopefully, and that kind of puts us at our number. In college, your salary cap is your 85 that you have to manage with your 25 allowable every signing period, plus the ones you can count back. So that's something that you had to take a calculus course, earlier this year to get all straightened out. So, but we feel good. We'll feel that we're going to be at 85 scholarships this year. We probably operated at anywhere between 75 and 77 last year, in terms of just trying to get the roster back to where it needs to be. And that's I know it doesn't sound like much from an addition subtraction standpoint. That's a large number when it comes to football. And I thought the players did a great job managing that and compensating for not having the numbers that you used to having or should have, and don't see that being a problem going forward.
Oh, Matt.
You mentioned the disadvantages of the early signing period for this program this year, but do you feel like you have a better sense now of what things you need to accomplish for the next signing period after today?
A little bit. I think the unknown was something like what we got hit with. We had a bowl game right in the midst of a signing period. And we ought to have like a day, no, maybe not a day, a week where you guys travel with us. during the contact week. I mean, it is something else. You know, you're the last flight in, you're the first flight out. You're ripping through cities and towns and homes, making sure that you put your best foot forward to represent your program. You know, it's the great thing about the way that things are structured. It allows you to work harder, or outwork your competition if you are allowed to, if you're not restricted by times or stuff or bowl games or something of that nature. So, you know, I'm sure the NCAA will take a look at everything, and you know, I think we have already kind of learned a lot from it, and more to kind of sit back and assess, and you know, realize that, hey, because you don't know how the season will end and what bowls, or what determines your bowl fate, you might want to arrange for your official visits during certain times of the year. Maybe get people here on campus during the season. Maybe wait till the January period. It's a lot to figure out, but if you have the answers, you're more than welcome to help me out on that stuff, man. It's going to take a little bit.
All right, AJ.
Coach, this bowl game and bowl practice and preparation kind of messed with this contact period leading up to this early signing day. Do you think it affected the results today and in the next couple of days? And then and the next part of that is, what do you do to make up for that kind of lost time going forward?
Well, you can't make up for it. Time is time, and when it's gone, it's gone. I mean, there were a couple nights where we took a late night flight out, met with some prospects and their families. But the weekend that we had planned for the 15th, starting the 15th, was one that I believe entailed 21 prospects and their families spending the weekend here in Eugene. So I think that because of that, and then looking at the results of today, it's pretty promising knowing that once they do set foot on campus and we can actually add to the current class, I think the results are going to be really, really good. It's going to be more than we expected. So it's difficult, but you know what? How do you make up for it? You just keep working. You don't make any excuses about it. You certainly don't. You just find a way. You just find a way. You got to increase the number of contacts. You have to just manage every second of your day so that there is no fluff. There's no fat to trim. You just use it and gear it towards making sure you can make the right impression on the guys you're trying to recruit.
Left here, Eric.
Yeah, Coach, you had a number of guys that didn't sign but have been verbally committed for a while. How do you handle that? And I guess what's your perspective on that? And then secondly, what position groups do you, I guess, prioritize now for the spring?
Sure. Well, you know, I think when guys are committed, they are verbal commitments, so they're entitled to do as they wish to. And again, they're kind of figuring. I think prospects are trying to figure this thing out as well, because the February signing day has always been such a big deal at every high school. Families fly into town, they travel from all over to be there. So I think that a lot of times, or at least, you know, looking at today, there's a lot of that's going into the results of today for a lot of schools out there. So I wouldn't be surprised if there are drastic changes in the way teams stack up after the February signing day. So I think, you know, in terms of the guys that give verbal commitments to ourselves or other universities and haven't signed yet, you know, they'll figure it out. They'll figure it out. If they haven't signed yet, well, there's probably a good reason for it. And when they do sign, hopefully that's for the right reasons as well. So, and all we can do is continue working and making sure we assure anyone that we feel could be a great addition to our family, that we continue to work hard and always make a great impression, but never waver, never change, and don't try to change the script. Just continue steady, stay the course, and it'll happen exactly like we want it to happen.
Guy right here on the left.
Coach, along with being in Las Vegas for the contact period, there was also a lot of uncertainty with what assistant coaches would be with you moving forward after the bowl game. How did you handle that through recruiting when you were sending guys out to living rooms and they didn't maybe know if they were going to be around next year?
It's honesty. It's the only way I know. It's I don't know any other way. I don't believe that there's any other way. And at the end of each and every day, it's always going to prove to be the best thing that you can do in front of a family. At the end of the day, you want what? A foundation of trust. Well, because of the NCAA, the rules that are, that we have to abide by, you cannot speak to a prospect unless it's a contact period or they come to your campus during, a quiet period or something of that nature. So that being the case, you don't have many opportunities to make an impression. When you do have an opportunity, even if you don't have the greatest news in the world, be honest, be straightforward, look them right in the eye, and they get a good feel for who you are and what you are. And if they love your university and if they love the situation and the opportunity that you have for them, it's going to be a lot better. You're going to be a lot better for it, and your relationship with that young man and his family are going to be totally different if you just stay honest with them.
Behind closed doors, were there some of your assistants that expressed they were going to be following Coach Taggart, and did you hold them off from making any visits or anything like that?
You know, we didn't have any real tug or pull or indication that guys were going or guys were staying. And I don't think that when assessing this situation in particular, but any situation, I don't think you can assume that, you know, a coach is going to leave or a coach is going to stay, because the nature of this industry shows it every single year that, you know, opportunities happen, families have situations or have, heck, you know, who is to know that I have family in California? I mean, I'm from as far southeast as you can imagine, but there's family out there. Well, you know, other guys have similar situations. And so what you do is you just make sure that you have an understanding with your staff. And just like we were talking about honesty a second ago, you make sure that you guys let each other know, hey, if there is a situation that comes up, even if you may not want to take it, even if you're not really interested in it, let us know. Be upfront and honest so that we can plan for it. We could talk about it, work it out if it fits, and if it doesn't, you know, wish them the best. So there's I've loved this staff since the beginning because of the relationships that we have had. And therefore, even in a situation that was a little bit sticky and dicey, everything was handled with professionalism. It was great.
I think it was less than 2 weeks ago you were named head coach. How would you describe, what's the Cliff's Notes version of what that's been like in terms of finalizing the staff, preparing for a game, trying to prepare for today, all of it?
Yeah, when I take a nap, or one of these days I'll think about it when I wake up. It's been fast, and it's been a lot of stuff that it's nothing but an honor to be able to deal with, work at, help, coach, mentor, solve, create. I mean, you want to name every possible obligation that a coach has. We've been at it nonstop, whether it be recruiting, whether it be, you know, coaching, whether it be mentoring, getting with our players, flying around the country. The ones that are obviously cheat a little bit are our family members, but they get it. It's that time of year. We'll catch up with them in Christmas. Hopefully, you know, hopefully Santa does a good job. But it's been incredible. It's been incredible. I think the best part about it is the strength and the enthusiasm of the Oregon football family and the fans and the support, the administration. There's a million people to thank, a million. And it's been a relentless, just nonstop work type of situation that you couldn't ask for better. You couldn't ask for better. So as you know us, we're enthused beyond words. And we wish that we could start up again, but there's a break that's got to be had. So we'll wait a little bit before we get going again.
Second row, Jerry on the right.
Yeah. Could you, Coach, touch on every player? I know you have touched on every player, but could you go a little bit down the list maybe and elaborate a little bit on that? On players?
Absolutely. I actually was going through a bunch of stuff, and I actually was going to include some personal comments on some guys, because these guys they're characters now. I mean, they certainly have tremendous personalities, and it's probably why everybody bonded so well. You know, I'll start with MJ Cunningham, who for him, he's actually the 26th ranked athlete in the country, okay, and 8th overall as a prospect in the state of Oregon. He was a first team All Portland league guy selection, offers from UCLA, Utah, several others. He projects as a linebacker, and he could play inside, he could play outside. I mean, he's a real versatile guy. I'm sure you've seen him with the ball in his hands. It's always good to see your linebackers and how they run. I was always a big fan of that ever since we were at Miami, and we saw Ray Lewis run the football. We're like, wow, that guy has really loose hips. He gets in and out of breaks really well, but when someone tries to tackle him, he splatters them. Well, let's make that guy a linebacker. Well, MJ has the qualities to be a really, really good linebacker. Moving on to Travis Dye. Travis, 5'11", 180 pounds. We all know his brother. You know, Troy's done an unbelievable job ever since his arrival here at the University of Oregon. This guy's statistics are staggering. I mean, he was named the Big League Offensive Player of the Year as a senior, ran for 2,383 yards. With that being said, on 255 carries and 34 touchdowns. I think we could all be happy using some of those statistics right there. 216 yards a game, and had a good amount of offers. His heart was always here at Oregon. So for us, a tremendous addition and a guy that we're counting on to help us right away, both running backs for that matter. As you mentioned before, Jamal had been hurt, his senior season, so he didn't play as much as he would have liked, but he is currently, even with his injury, the 13th ranked running back in the entire country. Both Travis and Jamal are one hit, just go and make a defense pay the price. Real explosive players. If they get free, if they reach the second or third level, it's going to be hard to catch them. Both these guys run track. Explosive guys. They do a great job catching the ball out of the backfield as well, so the screen game will be enhanced as well. He was offered by just about everybody in the country as well. He was a lifelong Oregon fan, so when he came up here and visited, he committed and he never wavered. So we appreciate Travis, we appreciate him, we appreciate MJ as well. Those guys really were upstanding commitments the entire time. Moving on to Andrew, and I always mess up his name, but I got it this time. Falilu, always, okay? I know, I'm sorry, Andrew, okay? I'm sure Austin will let me have it. I tried to phonetically spell it on my sheet too. But here's a guy that really popped on tape his senior year. I mean, really, we knew he was a good player, and obviously we knew of his brother and the way Austin has developed this year, and the size and growth potential of Andrew. Andrew's already 6'3", 255 pounds. We feel he's going to be a 285, 95-pound defensive end, interior defensive lineman. And, they won the state game this year at Mater Dei. They've certainly done a really good job over there. In that state title game, he makes 3 tackles for losses and 2 sacks against their opponent that day. He's going to play in the Polynesian Bowl. His motor and his explosiveness is what really attracted us to him. A guy that we felt could change things at the line of scrimmage like his brother. Really, really glad to have him as well. Can never have enough good defensive linemen. And Javon Holland out of Bishop O'Dowd, 6'1", 182 pounds. He's going to be one of your favorites. Tremendous personality. I got to always mention that with him. He's something special. But he is a 14th ranked safety in the country. And overall, he's a 153rd ranked prospect in the country. Special athlete, rangy, explosive, really good ball skills. Has also jumped on the other side of the ball. He played wide receiver for Bishop O'Dowd this year. I believe he had 1,000+ yards receiving. So it gives you an idea of what a dynamic athlete this guy is, playing both sides of the ball. Maintains an elite level of conditioning so he could play both sides of the ball, and also accounted for 119 tackles, 18 pass deflections throughout his high school career. So Javon going to be counted on for a lot of playing time early, certainly going to make an impact in the secondary. Adrian Jackson, #1 player in the state of Colorado. #1 player. 10.9 100-meter. Impressive. Okay, this is not a receiver now, it's a linebacker. 10.9 100-meter guy. 4-star guy, first-team All-State selection, going to play in the Under Armour game. If you name the accolade, he probably has it. The part that we love about him is this guy will strike you now. I mean, if you're a ball carrier or a blocker, this guy's going to run right through you. All these guys, unbelievable families. Got a chance to spend a lot of time around them. He's just, he's what you want hunting down ball carriers. And he had just about every offer in the country: Florida, Nebraska, Notre Dame, Ohio State. It goes on and on and on. And his track team, he was on the 4x100 meter relay team. 3 times they won. He was part of that first place finish. So he's a pretty well ranked high school track athlete as well. We look forward to kind of turning him loose on defense, letting him make some plays. Talked about Dawson earlier. Offensive lineman, 6'6", 295 pounds, Lake Oswego High School, 15th overall tackle in the country. Athletic, can bend, tremendous motor, heart, toughness, athletic ability, can change direction, can bend. Another 4-star recruit, going to play in the Under Armour game. He's been picked to play in the Polynesian Bowl as well. First team All-State selection, been offered by just about everybody on the West Coast and several on the East Coast as well. Here's a guy that saw a duck game early on in life, and I wish he would have told me he wanted to come here his whole life. Instead, I had to recruit him really, really hard. The whole staff recruited him really, really hard, and we're thrilled to have Dawson. Stephen Jones joining him at offensive line. Stephen, 6'6", and that's probably selling him a little bit short. He's probably 6'6" and a half, 340 pounds. That scale is probably broken. He's 8th in the country as an offensive tackle. He's one of the top players in the country along with Dawson. First team All-Southwest League, has been offered by, everybody, Washington, Utah, everybody out here on the West Coast, UCLA. Phenomenal athlete, a guy his size. You don't expect guys that big to move that well. Him and Dawson, the rest of these offensive linemen, they give us an additional amount of power at the line of scrimmage and at the point of attack without compromising the ability to move, cut off defenders on the backside of the outside zone schemes. Guy could pin and pull and do it all. Excited about all these guys. Obviously, I'm going to gush a little bit more about the offensive linemen, but it's probably the last time they get any credit, but might as well give them some while we can. And that moves us to Chris Randazzo, another guy. These ranges, 6'6" and a half, 6'7", from Chino, California. I forgot to mention, of course, Stephen Jones from Chaparral High School. All these high school coaches do a great job with these guys. Chris is a 48th ranked tackle in the country. Don Lugo High School, all league as a senior, first team. Took his team all the way to the state final. Came to our camps, was really not a big name out in the recruiting ranking worlds. And he walks through the door, barely fit through it, and we put him out there on the field, and he started performing. And very uncommon, just size, speed, power, athleticism. And he performed extremely well. A guy that, just like Steven and Dawson, we feel are going to really help our offensive line continue to grow and take that next step in becoming more physical, I should say. Okay. Tyler Shuck, 5th-ranked quarterback in the country. I had mentioned before, he looks a lot like our current guy. I think you guys know him pretty well. The top overall recruit in the state of Arizona. So, again, credit to Marcus Arroyo, the rest of our staff. I really should mention all of them because everybody's involved in recruiting here. We all kind of have a hand in every single player we recruit. But the top overall recruit in the state of Arizona, overall 128th at any position in the country. So a top 150 guy. All-state guy, all-everything guy, 3,000 plus yards passing, over 62% completion percentage, and to over 24 touchdowns. This guy, he had it all. He had offers from the Alabamas all the way down to Florida States and Georgia, and our staff did a great job identifying him, particularly Marcus Arroyo. And when he set foot on campus, him and his family fell in love with the university, and we look forward to him being a staple to us and our program for a long time. And then a couple more guys that we have. Steve Stevens, you all know Steve, probably. Very active on social media, along with Javon Holland. Special athlete, special guy, another super personality guy. Excuse me, another 4-star athlete. All-state, it does it all. He jumps on either side of the ball, can cover you as a corner, could jump out there as a safety. Broke up 14 passes, had a sack, 53 tackles as a senior. Going to play in the Under Armour game. You want to talk about a guy that helps change. Well, we have a great locker room, but continues to add to the dynamic of our locker room. That's what Steve is. Steve is special, hard-nosed, tough football player, great athlete, provides a lot of length. He's about 6'1", 185 pounds. And we're looking forward to having him here as well. Mention Sione Veakava. Okay, Sione. Okay, from Honolulu, Hawaii. He's actually Tongan. His parents are living in Tonga, and he had a fly yesterday. It's a 23-hour flight. Okay, so to be in contact with him, yeah, can you imagine that? Try doing that with a couple of kids like I have to, if I have to go visit him eventually, right? He, get this, he was a guy that Coach Salavea had found and recruited and brought to the table. You're going to see his tape, and when you put on his tape, you're going to see why he has us so excited. At 6'6", 270 pounds, the way we play defense, that range, the ability to lock out guys, to hold your ground, to be a 2-gap player as well as be a 3 technique or a 5 technique is critical. And Sione could do all of that and does that at a really, really high level. He was actually the defensive player of the year this year as a sophomore in a league that Metro League is extremely impressive, especially if you look at the number of guys that have signed Division I and Power 5 scholarships. in the past few hours. Graduated from Kalani High School. He was offered by just about everyone, west, north, south. His list is there. I don't want to brag on him anymore, but excited beyond what I could explain whenever you're able to find those body types. Those body types are hard to find. They really are. And this guy is a special one. Another one we're thrilled to have. And that leads me to the next guy, another junior college player. Actually, junior college All-American, Hockey Woods. 6'3" cornerback, which we really prioritize in this recruiting process. We needed length, we needed height, we needed size, range. This guy plays corner, he plays safety, smart, great student. You always want to look at a young man's academic success, his attendance records. This guy's off the charts. His stats are, impressive. He's got about 50 tackles, 35 solos, 5 breakups. Not many people throw his way, and they're smart not to throw his way. This guy covers it all. But again, being a junior college All-American, being the young man that he is, we think that we got ourselves a tremendous corner/safety in hockey, and expect very big things from him. He's a guy that I believe will be here pretty shortly. So, but overall, a tremendous job by the entire staff. We found length, we found athleticism, we found size. Addressed a couple positions, still have to address more. Someone asked earlier, what do we have to address? Obviously, the wide receiver position is a huge position of need, and the tight end position as well. But we got to continue to fortify the defensive lines and the secondary, as well as maybe another lineman or two. Can never have enough of those guys, never. So I'm a little biased, right? But it's been a great day. I certainly appreciate you guys being here. We're going to do this again, right? In about 6 weeks? Is that when we have this again? A little bit more, 7-8 weeks, and this is a new thing for all of us. A new thing for all of us. Now that we kind of know the process, next year what I'll do, we'll have a loop and video for you, so you can see the highlights and you can make your own assessments as to how the class is going. I believe it's ranked fairly high, especially for a staff that went through some transition. But I confidently say that expect this class to grow even better and stronger going into this next signing period that we have.
Last question right here.
Kind of a different question, but I was just curious, do you have a ghostwriter, or are you running that Twitter account today? Because that was
on fire, right?
That was on fire, yeah.
I'm learning, man. Where I worked before, and there was a Twitter ban there, man. You couldn't, all this social media stuff was disallowed. So, and I've mentioned how my fingers have a tough time getting on these little buttons. I've been training. Some people work out and then they get ready for a marathon or some type of, lifting meet. I've been training my social media skills and my Twitter skills. So I was ready for today now.
Yeah, those hashtags, those were special.
I need a lot of help there. I cannot take all the credit for that. There's no way I had any chance at coming up with any of that stuff on my own.
Awesome. Thanks, Coach.
Okay, guys, thank you for being here today. Have a good night.